Hello, and you're listening to WITZ, the WITZ, the one place for all things music, art, and entertainment right here in Douglas County, Oregon. I'm your host, Mr. Colin Hurwitz, and thank you for joining us today. This episode is brought to you by 10 Down Bowling, Split Bar and Grill, and a new company, Top It Express. Try them today. Of course, check out Edward Jones for your investing needs, New Visions Eye Care for your spectacle needs, and WITZ Emmett for your investing needs. A lot of great companies right here in Douglas County, Oregon. And of course, the Gene Bechtel School for Music, Spiderking Studios, and the Douglas County Music Association. Thank you so much for being great sponsors. And we're also happy to have your help as well. Let me tell you a little bit about where your money goes. We have three primary missions. One is to create opportunities for performance for Douglas County musicians and anybody who's visiting. Two is to provide scholarships and sponsorships to academics and young professionals. And of course, three is to provide instruments, lessons, and studio space to students in need. And here's the different tier memberships of our program. $300 will make you part of our bronze tier membership. That helps us with instruments and lessons. $500 will make you part of our silver tier, and that helps us get scholarships and sponsorships to students. And $1,000 puts you in the gold tier. That allows us to pay for venues and large performance avenues for our performers. If you're ready to donate today, please go to Venmo at OregonDCMA. And if that doesn't work for you, you can also write a check or bring cash to the Gene Bechtel School for Music, addressed to the Douglas County Music Association or DCMA. And now it's time for some reviews. Thank you so much for checking out our show, The WITZ, brought to you by the Douglas County Music Association. We really need your help and your donations. Consider scanning or clicking on the QR code here to donate to our Venmo. Every little bit helps. Everything that you give helps us keep the show going, helps us get instruments in the kids' hands, and by the way, sponsorships and scholarships, consider donating today. Hey, check this out. Now, a lot of you have been telling me and emailing me and writing me saying, Gavin's hunting and fishing videos are awesome. Who knew we would actually venture down in this direction? I think Gavin is pretty much one of the awesomest guys, the most awesomest guys that I've ever met doing anything like this. So without further ado, another incredible fishing or hunting video from Gavin Pike. Check it out.
What's going on, everyone? Thanks again for tuning in. This week, we are off to the coast in search of winter chrome. So I'm really excited for this episode today because it's been a long time since I've been able to actually take some serious time and fish for steelhead. My original plan was to take my drift boat out on one of the forks of the Umpqua today, but it is Saturday and all the rivers have exploded once again. When the rivers around home are blown out, well, what do? Well, you have to go and explore new areas. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to a new spot that I've never been to before. I've heard good things about it. I've always wanted to check it out. And I'm really excited to take you along with me. I ran out of time today, sadly, and no steelhead were caught by me. Such is the way of steelhead fishing. That's why they're called the fish of 10,000 casts, because they do not come easy. So on my way home, thought I'd stop at a little place along the side of the road here to show you something really cool that you can take home for yourself. This tree that you're looking at right here is a myrtlewood tree. What's really unique about them is that they're only found here in Oregon on the southern coast. They like to grow mainly in the Coquille and Coos watersheds. And they have a very special characteristic about their leaves. When you crush these leaves up and smell them, they have a very, very fragrant scent to them. I like to use them in cooking. When I'm cooking crab, if I'm cooking seafood, I'll add these leaves into it. Making chowders and soups. It's a very earthy, very potent scent. So back in the days before there was insect repellent, people would use myrtle leaves to keep insects away from their houses and from their skin. So what I'd like to do is I like to come up to a tree, and I don't take too many, just enough to keep me and myself going, because you want to leave enough for everyone else, right? I'll pick 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll do 5. I like to pick and choose which ones I get. The ones that are the cleanest, the ones that look the nicest, and the ones that smell the best. So again, really big fan of myrtlewood leaves. You'll like them too if you try them. They have a very similar scent and flavor to bay leaves. So give them a try. Just make sure that when you take them home, you put them on a plate or put them in a dry place where they can dehydrate and dry out, and that way you'll get the most out of your leaves. So thanks for stopping in with me today. Thanks for enjoying the ride, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
And of course, we just got Dr. Michael Wheeler on the show to introduce new instruments of the day. Let's see what instrument he wants to show us today.
Hello, all you wonderful people in WITZ land. We have our instrument of the week. This is a Afghan rabab. Now, rabab is kind of a generic term that means stringed instrument or instrument with strings. So there are many, many different kinds of rababs. There's the Egyptian rabab, the Turkish rabab. This Afghan rabab is the only rabab that we talk about with plucked strings. Next week, we'll take a look at some bowed string rababs. It's actually likely that this was at one time a bowed string, and we kind of have a hint about that because of these curved indentations here, which are kind of common with bowed instruments. You'll notice there are tied frets, nylon strings, and it's just very common to use fishing line. So we have a root fifth root tuning. Frets are nylon tied frets, kind of like what you would see with a viola da gamba. Now, even though there's frets, only 3 frets, you can play higher than the frets are. You just have to stop the string kind of blindly. So you'll notice it has kind of a dull, not quite banjo-y sound to it, but the instrument kind of has a thud quality to it, and that helps with the style of playing. In typical rabab music, a lot of it is very dance rhythm inspired. Okay, now don't judge the instrument too harshly again, because I'm not quite a rabab player. A lot of the music tends to have a very kind of minor mode to it, again, mostly because of the frets, because there's only 3 frets. So playing minor scales or minor, super technical tetrachords, are very easy with the frets. Now, of course, you could play the major third. So, you know, you could do Mary Had, like, you know, it's just common that we do Mary Had a Little Lamb on every instrument. Okay, but it never sounds quite right on these instruments. Anyway, Afghan Rabab. We have a bunch of them here over at Gene Bechtel School of Music. If you're interested in these instruments, they're super fun to play. So, hope you guys have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
And you all know Mr. Jake Tranter. He not only has he hosted the show before and helped me film the show, he is also adding new segments about film and media. And let's give it for Mr. Jake Tranter.
Hello, thank you very much for having me on the show once again. Now, you may remember that I was on the show before and I talked a little bit about editing and what all goes into editing an episode of the WITZ. So for my next few segments, I thought that I would go over some gear that is used to shoot the WITZ. So I'm going to go over why I use certain gear that I use, how it's practically used, and how do I use it. So we'll eventually go over everything, but today I think it's best to start with this guy. So, if you don't recognize this, this is a camera. This is a cinema camera. And more specifically, this is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. Now you can look up all the specs on this thing, but what I'm gonna do is give you 8 selling points on why I use this camera. All right, so first up, it shoots in 6K. You may have heard in the name, the Blackmagic 6K Pro. It's got a 6K 35 Super sensor that shoots very high quality images. So of course those aren't your only options. You can shoot in 6K. You can also shoot in 5.7K, 4K, 3.7K, 2.8K, and Ultra HD or just HD. So you've got a pretty wide range there, right? You've got 6K all the way down to 1080p. So for whatever your shooting needs are, it's got a very high range to work with. All right, so number 2. This thing shoots in some, I would say, more professional video formats. You can shoot in Blackmagic RAW, or you can shoot in ProRes. So basically that just provides some more flexibility in the post-production process. That may not much matter to you, but for me, somebody who's been in the film industry, video industry, it's really nice to work with video formats that kind of integrate into your editing software is a little easier. When you shoot in Blackmagic RAW, you have a lot more flexibility to change those colors and really create a look out of the image that you wouldn't otherwise get shooting in a more simplified shooting format like MP4. All right, moving on. This camera has an excellent dynamic range. It offers up 13 steps of dynamic range, so that allows for some stunning imagery despite some difficult lighting conditions. And that actually is a really great segue into point number 4, which is this camera has built-in ND filters. Jake, what's an ND filter? So an ND filter is basically sunglasses for your camera. It basically simplifies exposure control without the need of having all these attachments or extra pieces that you have to buy for your camera. It's all built in, and you can shoot in some brighter conditions and have more control over your exposure. Cool. So here's one of my favorite ones. The thing that sets this camera apart to its predecessor, just the 6K, I believe, don't quote me on this, but it has a built-in EF and PL lens mount. So basically, in lamest terms, that means this has a wide variety of different lenses you can actually put on it. It's got its own lens adapter built in, and that's pretty insane. So whether you shoot with Sony, Canon, whatever, you can put all different types of lenses on this camera and it'll shoot just fine. All right, so up next we've got the actual LCD screen itself. I'll show you here. So we've got an LCD screen here that is not only a touch screen, but you can actually pop it out and it can move around, adjust to whatever angle you're looking at it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's not the best selling point for me because I tend to like working with external monitors. So, you know, using an HDMI cable on the side here that actually goes to a monitor that you can look at. There's also wireless monitors so that we can have a video village and just view the screen without needing to be near the camera. But for those who are just starting out with this camera, it's really nice to have a little bit more flexibility, again, as opposed to the predecessor cameras. All right, second to last point, we've got dual native ISO. So what is dual native ISO? Essentially, dual native ISO enables you to capture footage in both low light and bright conditions. So when you're shooting in those low light conditions, say the nighttime, there's not going to be much noise or grain on the screen, which is really good for us low budget production people who don't have the best lighting setups, and we need a little bit more wiggle room to get away with cheating a little bit. So of course, there's a lot more that goes into ISO and dual native ISO in particular, but to dumb it down, it allows for more low light shooting. So my last key point for this camera, it has the ability for built-in motorized lens control. So what that means is I can set this camera up and I can attach an external lens control adapter to this thing, and I can zoom in, zoom out, I can focus in, focus out without having to reach my hand forward and touch that lens. So really good versatility while actually shooting on set. All right, well, thanks for sticking with me. I'm gonna go over a couple more key components before letting you go. The first being is that, like I mentioned before, you have the ability to have an external HDMI source, so you can see in there. This allows you to have that external monitor. Now you might be wondering, what are these cords here? So I'm actually running a power source. That's what this thing is in the back here. This is an external battery. You can flip it on like that, flip it off. You can actually charge some other things like your phone or whatever to it. You know, that could actually be used for other things like smaller little light sources that you want to attach to the rig on this, the cage that I've got. But also you've got audio inputs, these micro XLRs, these mini XLRs here. So yes, you have the possibility to actually feed audio directly into the camera, which streamlines things a lot easier. And the last thing here is that I've got this lightning cable that goes to an SSD on the bottom here. It's the Samsung SSD T5. I use it for all of my shoots. It's very flexible, not a hassle, it's not in the way. But more importantly, it handles all of my high resolution footage without me needing to swap out SD cards or anything like that. It's a whole terabyte right there, ready for me to just shoot on, and then I can swap it out if it gets full or anything like that. Okay, so that's the camera that I shoot the WITZ with. So yes, this camera in particular is used a lot for cinematography, filmmaking, a lot of that stuff, and that's my main gig. That's what I do outside of the WITZ. But the broadcast deserves high quality footage, and that's why I use this. I could whip out the smartphone. I mean, smartphones shoot in 4K nowadays, right? But I personally believe that the WITZ deserves the best quality you can get. And so when it comes to gear, it's all hands on deck from Spiderking Studios. All right, so next up on the show, I will be talking about lenses, because you can't have a camera without a lens to shoot a show, right? This is literally your eyeball here. So next segment, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into lenses, what different lenses are used for different shots, you know, everything like that. So yeah, thank you for joining me in this segment of film production and what goes into the WITZ. If I explained things poorly, or you just have any questions about the camera or anything, or any of the equipment involved, comment down below, let me know, and I'll answer your question, or I'll even put it in the next video. But until then, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the show.
And now our feature presentation. Well, guys, guess what? On the show today we have, you guessed it, Widespread Haze. I always have to say it like that. Why, I don't know. But we have an exciting music video. We'll check that out first. You probably have already seen it. And then, of course, we will also listen to an interview with the whole band, all 4 of them. And we have recordings of them playing inside their studio. I hope you stick around because this is going to be great.
my chances. Tried settling the score. I can't complain. I feel no pain anymore. I got a feeling coming down on me. I got a feeling taking hold of me. One of these days you'll find your way back to me. Too many feelings and emotions you never had. Too many questions and answers you didn't have. Too many days, not enough ways, never coming back. I got a feeling taking hold of me. I got a feeling coming down on me. One of these days you'll have your way without me.
as you're dreaming. I won't wake you because I know that you know I'll be dreaming too. You could keep on dreaming, dreaming, dreaming. Keep on. Come and do that sweet thing, sweet thing. One day soon there's gonna be someone you meet. They're gonna give you everything you ever need. They're gonna make you feel like you can't be beat. They're gonna sweep you right off your feet. Then they'll tell you that you shouldn't trust your heart. They're gonna make you break you, take you to the start of the rat race where you tear yourself apart. They're gonna leave you beaten, broken, bruised, and scarred. I see their face every goddamn day. I know it doesn't help me, but I want it here to stay. I don't know why I think I'm losing my mind, but I know no other way. The thing is, when I think about my old friend, I wanna get drunk and cry. Oh yes I do. The thing is, when I think about my old mess, I think about you and I. But it doesn't make a difference, and it don't change a thing, and it doesn't change a thing. Making a difference never made a thing. Is when I think about my old friend, I wanna get drunk and cry. Everything I have to give, time every time. Yes, I will now. And I'll give all the mind, body, and spirit that I can at the time. It doesn't paint a picture, and it don't write a song, and it doesn't really matter unless we all sing along. And I'll give everything I have to give every time. Think about my old friend, I wanna get drunk and cry. Oh yes.
I'll start. My name is Tommy, and I play the drums and sing sometimes.
I'm Christy. I play the bass and very rarely sing.
Rarely. My name's Matthew, and I play guitar and I sing.
My name's Luke, and I play the mandolin and the guitar.
Let's see. In 2018, it was a collection of things. Christy and a good friend of ours, Wayne, were hanging out at some local music stuff.
Wayne was our first band manager.
Yeah, Wayne was our first band manager. And that's where I met them, was at a local concert hosted by Umpqua Watersheds. And I think you guys met Tommy, was it at?
Yeah.
We met at the Death Trap.
At the Death Trap.
Which was a beautiful bygone band.
If you know, you know. That's, yeah.
Tommy was playing a show with the band
At the Death Trap.
at the Death Trap. I went with Wayne. We didn't know where the Death Trap was. We had to search it out. We followed the music downtown Roseburg and happened upon this little hole in the wall called the Death Trap. And Tommy and I started chatting outside, and that's how we met. And
now,
think
was
that was
Scotty
after.
with you guys?
No.
Scotty came in a little bit later.
Yeah.
Scotty was with us through 2019.
Yes.
And was our lead guitarist, Christy's dad also, for our first EP.
He passed away 2020, so
Yeah.
Matthew then took over lead guitar duties.
Yeah.
I was born in Illinois, but we moved out here when I was a young child, so basically from Oregon, yeah.
I'm from Oregon. My family, my dad, my mom went to Roseburg High School, but they left as soon as they graduated and got married. And so I'm from Oregon. We went to various places around Oregon. I moved back to Roseburg. Well, I didn't move back to Roseburg. I grew up going to Roseburg for summer vacations and such, and moved to Roseburg in 2017. And then I've been here since then.
I'm from Kentucky. Yeah, I was born in Indiana, but made it to Kentucky before my second birthday. Graduated high school, tasted college over there, and then I had come out here. My father lived in Looking Glass for a little bit, and I came out for a little over half of 2013. Did some cool stuff while I was out here, and then came back in 2015 for good. Was doing a lot of theater. Really thought my life was headed in a theatrical direction. And then I met these guys and started playing music again. And
I did make it back here. So I like what you did. I was born in California, but made it to Oregon before my third birthday. See what I
nice.
The quote. And yeah, went to school here in Roseburg most of my life. I knew Colin Hurwitz. He taught me everything I know about drumming. A lot of things. He really got me started. Yeah, and then moved to Seattle because I could not get out of here fast enough. That was the first thing on my list, was to leave Roseburg. And then I got to Seattle and had a great time. I went to school up there for music and started to miss what this place had to offer.
I don't think we've even discussed what our favorite place to play is.
Gosh.
I mean,
Here.
Yeah.
yeah.
This is a good place to play.
Our studio's pretty nice, yeah. Gosh, I would have to say probably the Bad Space up in Salem so far was a pretty cool thing.
We play McMinimum's a lot. Al's Den is great. We do like to go frequent that place, and some other McMinimums we've gone to and played.
Yeah.
It's always a fun time. We played North 40 a lot here in Roseburg.
Yeah, we're kind of like our home bar for a while.
Yeah, North 40's not really set up for music, but it
It's kind of how Roseburg
if there's
is, though.
enough,
Yeah.
if there's
Most
enough
places aren't
people in
really
there,
set up for it.
just a really fun place to be energetic and have an audience responding to your energy. And yeah, so we've loved playing North 40 quite a bit.
We played a few local festivals, like the Arts
Yeah.
Festival and those types of things.
Yeah, Sasquatch Festival,
Sasquatch
Arts
Festival.
Festival, the brew. What's that brew fest? Funky Brew
Funky
Fest.
Brew Fest, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of on our end. Most music festivals are submission based. I'm sure you reach a certain point, you'll start to get invites for stuff for sure. But we've been very busy with a lot of stuff and kind of doing everything ourselves. Submissions to festivals aren't on our
haven't been
priority.
top of
They
the
haven't
list.
been a
Although
priority.
we have one scheduled in July, I think it's July 6th in
Weezer,
Idaho. Yes, it's
Yeah, I forgot about that
an annual festival they do down in Weezer, so that'll be
one. Rock
fun.
the Park.
Rock the Park, yeah.
So that's cool.
Oh yeah, we did have a name before Widespread.
We did.
And we're not going to talk about that.
It's
We got a lot of
very
pushback.
unofficial. Very unofficial.
A lot of pushback for that
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, the venues weren't going to. What was it? Tell me.
We'll tell you off
We'll
camera.
tell you later.
Gotta mute the mics. No.
But yeah, it was what year was that? 2016?
It had to have been
It was
18.
Summer of 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was fire everywhere. We were totally surrounded by
Forest fires.
fires. I mean, it was just smoke blacking out the sky, but it was pretty bad.
It was surreal.
And so you turn on the news, and it was the weather report if your timing is right. And for every, it's local Oregon, and every time you'd get to a new city, widespread haze, because there was widespread haze in the sky from all the smoke from all the fires. And he must have said this, 50 times in one session of driving. Widespread haze, widespread haze, widespread haze. So it was the weatherman's fault.
Yeah, it's great now though for marketing purposes. Unfortunately, here in Oregon, we often get forest fires, lately at least. And so every summer we get some free marketing from Kyle Bailey at KQEN. Shouts out our band. Now we get people that actually send it back to us and say, hey, your free
social
advertising.
media. Yeah, they do.
Even Kyle will.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my other projects outside of Widespread Haze, the main one is a band that I started called The Electrics. What was that 2019-ish? About 2019, I think.
I think it was.
Maybe the year before the pandemic, or a year and a half before the pandemic. It was originally a 4-piece, now it's a 3-piece. Tommy plays drums, I sing and play guitar, and then we have our bassist, Steve Amari, who has a studio as well in town. And we are recording our first album there right now. We broke up during the pandemic and then got back together because we were like, we want to play these songs. So I have that, and then I have another project with my friend Sam and Dustin. We've only played like 2 shows, but we call ourselves the Bad Vibes 3. It's a reference to the fact that Dustin plays the vibraphone. We don't actually have bad vibes. It also, it could be like bad, good vibes, like, slang. But that's just a really fun psychedelic project. We haven't recorded anything yet. It's very experimental. I do a lot of violin with guitar pedals and weird looping and things like that in that project. Hopefully in the next couple years, I'll have something people can listen to with that. You'd have to come see me live to see it right now. The Electrics album will be available this year, is the plan. It'll be on major platforms is my hope. So, yeah. And then I'm doing this EP with Widespread Haze, but have loved jamming with them for years. Whether it's at jam night at the bar I work at, or here, or at their house, or whatever. So this is our first like official project together. Yeah.
I have a beautiful wife at home, and Widespread Haze takes up a lot of my time, which I appreciate. And so I do not really want to collaborate with anyone outside of Widespread Haze. If we do it as like something with Luke, I will not separate myself and go do another. Nothing against that. Nothing against that. Nothing against that.
Matthew's into monogamy.
I know, it's like,
yeah,
Talking
no,
about monogamy
no. Yeah, I've really grown to love the married home life. It is quite relaxing, and so we're good at booking shows for ourselves, and so we stay pretty busy with those. We pride ourselves on rehearsing as much as we can. So, we do spend a lot of time up here. And it's, Kaylee knows this, the only other true love of my life, as far as what I want to spend my time doing. So, yeah, we record everything ourselves now. I like mixing the projects, so yeah, I spend all my time with Widespread Haze and my lovely wife.
Who is also a songwriter, right?
Who's also a singer-songwriter, yes.
So he does have that
Kaylee,
musical relationship.
her music scene is under Kaylee Barnhart, her maiden name. But yeah, she has some stuff on Spotify and Apple Music. She kills us in the ratings sometimes, which is always fun. I throw it in my own face. She's too sweet. She doesn't throw it in my face. I bring it up every now and then, though. Hey, you've got 3 times the listeners we do right now. But you should play more shows.
Yeah, so I love doing different community projects related to the music scene here. So I've got a couple things going. Right now, the newest thing is Music in the Berg. It's www.musicintheberg.com. And I have an active events page listing for any music-related events that are happening in Douglas County. So I try to get as much in there as possible, get people to submit their events. So you can go there and check out what's happening around town, which is really cool. It's a big project. That'll also eventually include artist profiles, venue profiles, things like that. And also Wayback Recording here. I'm sure Tommy will talk a little bit more about that, but we do have Wayback Recording as a music studio that's been active, and that's about it for me, other than Widespread Haze. No other music projects for me either, so.
And I am a bit of a busybody. I do want to talk about Wayback Recording. We've mentioned that we're recording our own album, but it happens to be in our music studio that's in downtown Roseburg, and it's alive. It's alive.
It's alive, yeah.
Yeah, it's this beautiful big room. If you're going for a big drum sound or a live band in a room kind of sound, something that sounds more natural, it's definitely the best room I've ever recorded and one of my favorite rooms to play in.
We reserve the right to refuse service. No, I'm just kidding.
We do not have a phone number, but we have an email address that is waybacrecording@gmail.com. Well, I do want to. I want to shout out. Luke referenced it earlier, but Jam Night at Draper is not an official project. necessarily, but it is an ongoing open jam that's happened for a decade, I think.
Well, there was a gap because I started working at Draper 6-7 years ago, and I started it again, but it had happened before that. There was just a gap where it wasn't happening, but it's been happening consistently for the last 7 years.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
all sorts of
Thursday nights.
Yeah, Thursday nights around 8. All sorts of musicians from all over.
A group of people
Improvising music in a group of people that
that
you
are
may or
also
may not
improvising.
know, and not knowing what to do and just going for it anyway. That's what that's all about. It's all about flying by the seat of your pants and
Yeah.
just figuring it out, which is I feel very passionately about that kind of music making. So I'm there every week.
It seems to be like for a lot of the musicians around here, like other bands too that we know, it's just like a hangout spot where you can chat about music, you can try things, you can kind of be there's no pressure at all. It's a small little pub. It's not like you have a big audience, but often the audience that there is super excited and dancing and is there for the jam night. But it's low pressure, and you never know what kind of instruments are going to show up, so it's a kind of a different eclectic.
Yeah, there's a lot of people showing up
Cooperation.
with a new instrument they never played before, and then there's some seasoned veterans that show
Right.
up and just
Right.
shred, and it's
And all are welcome.
everything
All are
in
welcome.
between.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful
Well,
thing.
21 and over.
Right.
All right,
It is not all ages.
I'm Luke.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Tommy.
We're
Widespread Haze.
Well, that seems to be all the time we have left for today. Tune in next week for another great episode of the WITZ, the WITZ, brought to you by the Douglas County Music Association and so many other great sponsors. Again, if you're willing to donate now, you can send a check to 1622 Northeast Vine Street at Roseburg, Oregon 97470, or you can go to our Venmo at OregonDCMA. We can't wait to hear from you. That's all the time we have. Until next time, bye everyone.